The original hole in the case there with that drill bit in is 7/32. The modified one there is also a bit bigger. That's the 5/16. It's a little bit loose in there, but it isn't quite what you want. As in the original cases, the 5/16 is a snug fit. So that hole has been increased in diameter a little bit. The drilled port through from the pressure relief valve into that hole there for the end feed is at about 45 degrees on that surface, but it's been drilled from that point there through and then plugged. Here I'll just highlight the oil hole drillings that have been blanked off on the original engine. That's the position of them, and they are going, if we can get this on camera, that one there is up to our oil pump, or from our oil pump down into where the original dowel hole was, and this one here is the one that goes up the oil to the oil pressure relief valve there, again going that way, passing just to the side of this drilled hole here. Now, I don't know if that's been done on purpose to reposition that slightly over in case it broke through on there, and had a brass insert put in, whether the timing covers have been altered to suit. Bit shaky here, and holding it from the back up with the camera, that's about 10mm from the edge to the centre of the hole, and that one is around 15mm from the edge to the centre of the hole, maybe 16, probably 5/8. Having looked at our options on how to do the oil galleries, both the recent engine and the BSA Bill website and other places I've looked, I've opted to go for the copying the recent engine and how to get the galleries through. We'll start with the galleries and then move on to actually fitting the bearing later. It does involve some jiggery pokery. I can't drill, I've got to do an oil way from that point up into the PRV side, and from this point up into this gallery for the oil feed out of the pump. I can't get this in to drill at them angles with this vertical in the milling machine, so I'm going to have to try and do that on the pillar drill table. More on that in a while. I've got this, or I'm going to have this clamped down to the table just flat on the mill. If I zoom out a little bit, you'll see what's going on. So we're going to be set up like that. I've got a stud in there. We're going to have a piece of bar going across there like that. A little bit of light realignment, missed that dowel, and we'll clamp it down in that way very lightly, because our first incision is going to be enlarging the oil feed hole from the pump. I'm going to go straight through into the side where the anti-drain valve is, blank that off, and do the A65 type anti-drain valve sitting on this side with the ball just behind the pump. I'll get the little spring and ball for that, and we'll do that as part of this conversion. So I'm just going to switch off now and come back when I'm set up under there, and we'll just whack a hole straight through that. All I've done to get us in line is put a drill bit the right size in the chuck, move the table to approximately the right place, left the case is slightly loose, and we'll just nip those down, and that's it, we're over that hole. Now we can drop the knee down and put the right size drill bit into it. And the first drill bit I'm going to go through with is a 6.5, a tapping drill size for 5/16 width for the plug the other side, which will blank off the original anti-drain valve. So here we go, first incision, and we're committed on these cases. And for the next drilling, I'll go down 17mm, should be sufficient depth into that hole, so that we can still tap the other side for our blanking off grub screw. This time I'll start to use a little bit of lube on there. I've got my 0 set. I'll just watch it on my digital readout here, which is disappearing on me. Needs a new battery in. Keep an eye on that one. Okay. 17mm cut. So there's that hole done. If you remember from our investigations, the blank hole at the back here, underneath the bracket, the blank hole was 15mm down. So that's why we're 17mm deep in there to break through into that. If there's any adjustments afterwards, I could soon make them, even with a hand drill or something, or set it back up again. Right, minor course correction there, just go straight through with your 7.9. I've just had a check at that plug on the other side, and it's 3/8, not 5/16. So we can just continue to tap that down from its existing thread when we get it turned over again. And there we have it from the other side, and in my case I'm just going to continue to tap this down by hand. Little bit of lubricant, pick up the existing threads from the anti-drain valve and just make it a little bit deeper for a decent grub screw, which will get Loctited in and punched over if need be, but to be honest I don't think it needs it. That other engine had the grub screw taken about to the edge of the oil feed hole from the oil feed pipe. Like this, you can just gauge by eye. just go and get a grub screw and check that before we go any further. I haven't got any shorter grub screws, I'll just check the thread's okay, and then we'll get some shorter grub screws on the way. I'll cut this one down. Yeah, that's okay. So that'll be well Loctited in there. Okay, on to the next stage. We've now got to get our drillings following these blue lines approximately. We've got to drill up to there from the oil feed to get it down to that point where the dowel is, and we've got to drill up to there to get into the PRV gallery. I can't set this up on the mill table vertically, I haven't got enough height in the mill, so what I'm going to have to try and do is do it on the pillar drill. Possibly even have to make a piece of backboard or something to support it, so bear with me, I'll be back in the next clip, which in my time might be 2 hours later. See, I told you it'd be about 2 hours later, I wasn't far off. I've got the lathe stripped down in bits. No, it hasn't gone wrong, it's alright. I tried the pillar drill to set up that case and it wouldn't work no matter what configuration I tried it. So I've took the top slide off the lathe and the compound to get to the boring table. The slotted table here is a very little used feature on lathes because it's such a pain to actually set it up, dismantle the lathe and everything to do it. I also had to take the digital readout and everything off this time. We've got a nose piece protector on there, and we've got a couple of reducing sleeves and an ordinary chuck in the headstock instead of the lathe chuck. And if you remember our markings out for approximately where our holes have got to be for the oil galleries, I've transferred that down roughly from our detail we had before. We've got about 10mm down on that one and about 15mm down on that one. That one going that way into the PRV and that one going that way into the oil gallery. Idea being, we can now set that up. Let me bring you in closer. We can set that up. I'm just using a bit of welding rod there as an indicator. But that's roughly where we're going to be with one of the holes at about the right height. And then that gives us about 10mm. And then for the next one, we've got to rotate the case round and lift it up by 5mm on some packers. So it's got to be right round that way on some packers to drill that one. Now, I've also got to get around that rib. So I'll have another little study, see if we can go a little bit higher with that, or even in at a slight angle if I tilt slightly, what the effect of that will be. So this is going to be quite a bit of setting up, so I'm not going to do it on camera. I'll just go through it when I've got each setup done. And obviously we can, for example for that one, we've got the control of the saddle for actually drilling the hole. I've got to work out a way of bolting down to here. I mean, I can see already I can get onto a couple of bolts here, get some T-nuts in that to bolt through that one, and probably somewhere around the back as well. So I'll bring you back when we're bolted down and we're ready to hopefully drill the first hole. That's an horse, it's in the way while I'm trying to set up, so quick tip. Here, I'll collet chuck. bit of threaded rod. And a socket. One dowel, hollow dowel removed without getting grips around it. There we are, bolted to the table loosely. All I've needed to do is go by these two bolts here, and it's pulled everything down. They're not fully tight yet. I've just got to align everything up. My little bit of welding rod in the chuck, when we spin that, is spinning roughly true, and I've just got a steel rule fastened at one end, and that's going to be my alignment to get my holes in line with where I need to be. So looking down from that angle, I roughly want to split down the middle of my little bit of welding rod, and that will allow me to follow from this hole to that hole at the right angle, and my height, as we saw earlier, is around about the right point. What I shall do, I want this to be a press fit for 6mm tube. I've got some on the way, or at worst I can make a small bit. So I want it about 5.8, 5.9, something like that, so the tube can be put on a mandrel that I'll make and tap it into place, and a little bit of Loctite around the points where it's got to seal as well. So I'll get set up with a drill. We'll start off with a little centre drill just to establish a starting point, and then we'll go through probably with a 3mm, 4mm, something like that, get a hole, make sure we're through, and get a depth set, and then we'll go through with our to size drill bit. And I'm set up ready to go, as close as I can get. I've keep tickling it and looking at it, and I'm not sure, so we'll just go for it. I'm as aligned on that axis as I can get. I've had to add another strap across there just to keep that back end down as I tighten up these two bolts here. Not too much crush on it because you'll pull it into the bed. We're nice and secure. So I'll power the lathe up, and we've got a spotting drill in there just to establish as a starting point. I'm just going to go a little bit further with a centre drill. I didn't think I'd get in with a centre drill because of the chuck hitting the case, but I seem to be okay. I've switched now to a long series 4mm drill. These are the ones I use. They seem to be quite good drills, and having the extra long length, they're very useful. Forgive me if my head gets in the way on this. through into the first hole. And I've had to move the camera over, it gives you a better view anyway, and I can't see where I'm drilling. We're about to break through into our first chamber. There we go. This next part I've got to go very steady, because I've got to keep the drill from wandering, although it's quite well guided by the other hole. It's going onto a curved surface. I've got to go very gently until it gets to start. It's actually deflecting quite badly, so I think what I'm going to have to do, turn that off, I think what I'm going to have to do is probably just establish a little bit of a flat area there for the drill to get into with the grinder, and probably swap up to a bigger drill to reduce the flexing. I'm just going to grind a little flat just on there. Let's take that drill bit out of the way first, because it will get me. Now I can see a witness mark where I'm coming through. I've got something to aim for. All I've done is try to create a little pocket into which the drill bit can follow. I'll try and go through with a 5mm, still keep it under our desired slightly less than 6mm. This would be better with a long series end mill. I think we're in. That's the tricky part, trying to keep it on track. I'm just going to carry on until I've got the hole through. So I've got to lean over to see what's going on. And there we are with the drill bit through, and if you can see the drill bit tip down there, just disappearing out of shot there, coming through into the middle of that oil hole. Now I've established a hole to follow. I've got a 5.9 there, which will give me about 3 thou interference on a piece of 6mm bar. At the worst, I can make a short piece of tubing to suit the size. So if we go over slightly, it doesn't matter. I'm not sure I can get in with this one, so I might have to just do it 6mm and either Loctite it in, which I was considering anyway, to seal the hole, or make a slightly oversized version. So let's go through with that and see how far I can get with that. Not quite. I'll just extend the drill out a little bit, see if I can get it through. And there we are, through with our 5.9 drill bit into the gallery. So, with that first stage of drilling the gallery through complete, I am going to rejig the setup now on the lathe and turn the case around and get ready for the other drilling through to the PRV valve. Quick overview so far of where we're at with the drilling through to the pressure release valve. There's my roll again, in line with approximately where I want to go. I'll just get his light out of the way. I notice that there's the rib there is just in the way, but looking at where that drill way goes, it goes down from there a little bit, so I'm going to have to relieve that away slightly. I I've also come in too high really with that. I've got these crossed round. I should have gone lower with this drilling and higher with this one, but I'll do them both at the same height. I don't think it's going to make a massive amount of difference. It's come through okay on the by the oil pump block, so that looks okay. So that saves a setup, and say hopefully I can get through into the pressure release valve area, just coming through at the bottom of that hole, if we can see that, sort of up from where the original drilling is. Just worthy of note is with the setup on the Colchester lathe bed, couple of 8mm 5/16 T-nuts in there and there, and it just fits using the hole by the dynamo there and the hole near the bottom, and just at the right angle. Was it originally done on a Colchester lathe? I don't know. Has anyone got access, or did people have access to horizontal borers? Was it done freehand? I have no idea, but it just struck me as slightly odd that it can just about be done on the boring table setup on a Colchester. Interesting. What I've just done there, I've relieved that away a little bit, and I've just spot milled where we're going in with a long series milling cutter, just to give us a start so we're not slipping off this rounded area. What I'm going to do this time is drill, this is a 4.5mm drill bit. I've just slightly started, I've just got a spot. The original hole's 6mm or 1/4 inch. I want to try and avoid this thread if I can. I'm pretty sure 4.5mm will be more than sufficient for the relief side oil, considering it's coming out of tiny little oil holes further up. That I've just broken through into that first part. I'll just show you that. So there we are, just in the bottom of that hole again, where all the oil feed will come through to the crankshaft. So having now broken through into the first part where the end feed for the crank will be, I'll continue to drill to get through into the next area. And again, apologies if my head gets in the way. And cover your ears for the airline. Cover your eyes for the bits. I don't want to go mad, I don't want a broken drill bit at this stage. check we're still in shot. We're into something. I'm just going to stop and extend the drill bit out a little bit more and get a bit close to the chuck. I just want to see. I'm worried about coming into that hole there. Okay, let's go again. I must be getting close. I'll just have a measure and a check through. A quick check. There's about the tip of the drill. So right about there, I'm very, very close to breaking through, or I've gone completely off track. I've got to extend the drill out a bit more. Go again. And we're through. Just bring you down to see that. Get some light in the hole. There we go. That was a lucky guess, wasn't it? Fairly close. Okay, I'll get cleaned up, and I think I'll call it today for that. Quite successful.